We wanted to circle back on a story BNN Bloomberg broke a few months ago. 3 Canadian companies came together in a merger to create a standalone crypto exchange operator in this country. WonderFi, Coinsquare, and CoinSmart have now closed their deal, which has been approved by the Competition Bureau, IIROC, and shareholders. Note this deal came together at a time of uncertainty for Canada's crypto landscape, and there are still some questions about what the combined entity will ultimately look like. To tackle those questions, we're joined now by WonderFi President Dean Skurka. He's at the TSX, where he rang the opening bell this morning. Dean, nice to see you.
Nice to see you, and thank you for having us.
All right. Well, now that the deal has reached the finish line, what happens next?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're really excited with the completion of this transaction, bringing together all of these great companies within the Canadian digital asset ecosystem. Certainly have our work cut out for us in the days and weeks ahead, but you know, at its core, bringing these companies together creates a clear market leader in Canada for digital assets, and we really think that's really great for both the clients of ours and the investors for ours as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about those focus areas. I mean, how much of the focus is going to be on actual crypto trading versus other areas, which I've heard you and other executives talk about, everything from processing to, helping with connecting crypto to the gaming market?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I believe crypto trading will always be at the core of this company, with over 1.6 million Canadians in our ecosystem that have all come through to buy and sell digital assets. We really believe that will remain our core strength going forward. And as the market continues to evolve, we've seen really exciting use cases that have come up, payments being one of the larger ones. CoinSmart's subsidiary that they've established out in 2020 called SmartPay has really grown in the last year as use cases around cryptocurrencies and payments have really grown. And so we think on a combined basis, this company represents a diversified and well-established platform across many verticals within the digital asset ecosystem.
There are several brands, so what happens? You got WonderFi, Coinsquare, CoinSmart. In some cases, you're talking about less overlap depending on the product, but there is overlap as well. So are all of those brands part of the long-term plan?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, part of the value in this deal is bringing together 4 of the 10 regulated crypto trading platforms in the country. Obviously, longer term, we need to clarify exactly what our plans are around the various brands. I believe that our 2 flagship brands that we do own and operate from a crypto trading perspective, both Coinsquare and Bitbuy, will be at the center of our focus with respect to our crypto trading segment, but those plans still need to be flushed out in the days and weeks ahead.
Have you gotten any feedback from people who use the platforms on what they'd like to see?
Yeah, that's part of our process for sure. But what we think our clients can see and expect in the coming weeks and months ahead is some of the core components of these platforms starting to be shared across the various platforms that we currently own and operate. And so what we can expect to see is the level of service and the level of products offered to our clients on the various platforms to continue to increase and reach parity across all of our platforms within the ecosystem.
Okay, now WonderFi is a public company. WonderFi shareholders, I believe, hold close to 40% of the combined entity. More than former CoinSmart shareholders, but less than former Coinsquare shareholders. How does that influence how the decision-making process plays out from here?
Well, today, as this transaction is closed, we're one company. We have elected a board of directors, and working with them and the management team that is at WonderFi today will direct and influence those decisions, and really bringing together all of the best components of these businesses, whether it's through the management team or the board of directors, is going to allow us to develop the best strategies that can optimize all of the assets that we own and operate.
You mentioned management. Are you going to be leading the company going forward?
Those decisions will be made in short order, and there will be announcements to come once those decisions have been clarified on the formal management structure.
Okay, so you're working on the longer-term management plan. You talked about speaking to the different stakeholders, priority focuses on some of the products and some of the brands. And as you bring these entities together, what happens on the cost front? Are you anticipating there will be any job cuts here?
We anticipate synergies that will naturally take effect across the various platforms. Certainly there is overlap with respect to the crypto trading segment, and we're going to take a close look at that. In this market environment that we're currently in, profitability is focus number one for us, and that will drive a lot of our decision making in the early days. But as we look to be executing on those strategies, we'll have to update the market accordingly.
One of the things we had reported on in the lead up to this deal was you had sort of a period of uncertainty in the crypto landscape. We saw what happened with FTX. People got skittish. There were worries about what that would mean in terms of overall volume and interest in the crypto world. And then, of course, the regulators have had plenty to say as well. And there was always that worry about the regulatory burden, the costs associated with it. So all of those considerations played a role in all of your businesses coming together. What would you say about how the regulatory environment looks now? And what can you tell us about how active the platforms are right now? Is there a lot of interest in crypto right now?
Absolutely. Well, I think a few things there. One, in terms of the regulatory landscape, I think the thesis that WonderFi has been committed to from the early onset with respect to regulatory compliance is really starting to play out. And so you've mentioned some platforms that have, ran into trouble and are no longer operating, on the back of what happened last year. More recently, we've seen larger international platforms leave the Canadian market, citing the regulatory burden associated. And so what we really believe now is WonderFi has the scale with respect to its 1.6 million clients and activity from them to comfortably sustain the market conditions that we're in, to be able to absorb the compliance costs on the as a result of stricter regulation in place, and really demonstrate that we're committed to the long term with this industry and growing in the right way. And so I believe what's happened in the digital asset industry with respect to regulation really reinforces WonderFi's core strength with respect to building for the long term and building right and building within a regulatory compliant environment.
Okay.